Okay, good morning. Welcome to
KidMath82.
KidMath82. So we just started our new section on our problem solving algebra book, and we're studying quadratic inequalities. And yesterday we talked about this. We're trying to figure out when x plus 3 times x minus 4 is less than or equal to 0. Okay. Today we're going to do a slightly more challenging problem, which is very similar to their second example in the book. X squared minus x is less than or equal to 2. Okay? All right, how do you want to approach this problem?
Well, this is a hard one. If we just didn't have the x squared, then it might be easier.
That's true. That would be an easier problem. If it was just minus x is less than or equal to 2, we could probably figure that out.
There's nothing really special about 2.
Right, there's nothing special about 2.
Maybe if we move it to the other side.
Okay, then we're going to get...
we could get something like this.
X squared minus x minus 2 is less than or equal to 0. Okay, and that brings up a very interesting point, and I'll use the words that you chose. What's special about 0? What made this one solvable?
Well, because 0 isn't negative or positive.
Okay, that's true. 0 isn't negative or positive, but it does have one very special property that helped us solving this inequality. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. If two numbers, I'll call this A and B, multiply to be 0, then either A is 0 or B is 0, or both.
Yes.
But you have to have, if you have two numbers that multiply to be 0, one has to be 0, at least one.
Yeah.
That's not true for 2. Okay? If two numbers, if we factored this, what does x squared minus x factor into?
It's x minus 1 half x squared. Right now.
This x squared minus x, what does this factor into?
Well, it's x minus, no, wait.
It's x times x minus 1. Can you see that?
Yes. You factor out the
You
x.
factor out the x, okay? So this equation, if I factored it, would be x times x minus 1 is less than or equal to 2. Okay, but 2 doesn't have this property that 0 has. Can you think of two numbers that multiply to be 2, and neither one of them is 2?
Well, you could have the square root of 2 times the square root of 2.
Sure. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2. If these were both equal to the square root of 2, we would be equal to 2. And neither one of them would be 2. That can't happen with 0. Okay? So if we tried to factor this, it might be hard to factor. Yeah. If we tried to factor it, we would have a problem. We couldn't solve it the same way. But now,
if we move the 2 to the other side.
If we get the 0 on the other side, maybe we can factor this and find the roots, and that'll help us. Okay, let's see if we can do that, and we'll stop the movie here and then continue tomorrow. Okay?
All right.
Let's see if we can factor x squared minus x minus 2. What do you think?
Well, I know the product of the roots has to be negative 2.
Okay.
And the sum has to be x. The sum has to be 1.
The sum has to be 1, okay. So we have r1 times r2 equals what? The product of the roots is what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. And the sum r1 plus r2 has to equal?
1.
1. Okay.
So, well, you could have negative, well, you have 2 and negative 1.
Ah, interesting. So if the roots were 2 and negative 1, the product is negative 2, the sum is 1, okay. So what does this factor into then?
It would be x plus 2, it's the other way around.
Okay.
It's x minus 2 times x plus 1.
Okay. Very good. And you can see if you multiply this out, you'll get x squared minus 2x plus x, which is minus x, and minus 2. So this factors into x minus 2 times x plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. And now we're in a problem that's very similar to what we did yesterday.
And we can figure that out.
And we can figure that out, and we'll do that tomorrow.
All right.
Okay? All right. Good job today, sweetie. Good job.